You ever feel like you're just barely making it through the day, like you're constantly on the edge, waiting for the next thing to go wrong, even when you're even when you're trying your hardest to heal and move forward? You might be doing all the right things, talking to a therapist, practicing self-care, maybe even trying out meditation, but it still feels like you're stuck in the same place, just trying to survive. That's what survival mode feels like. It's draining and it makes it almost impossible to really focus on healing because you're too busy just trying to get through the day. Survival mode isn't just a temporary thing for some of us, it becomes a way of life. You might even start to think that it's normal to feel this way all the time, always in defensive mode, always preparing for the worst. But let me tell you, healing can't happen when your body and mind are stuck in that survival state. Okay? It just can't happen. See, that's why today's conversation is so important. We're going to be talking about what survival mode is, how it shows up in our lives, and most importantly, how we can start to break free from it so that real healing can finally begin. I'm really excited to have Xaye Faith with us today. Xaye is a accountability consultant and the co-founder of the Total Freedom Network. She helps so many people shift out of survival mode by finding balance and focusing on their lives. She's going to share her wisdom on how she can stop living in survival mode, how we can stop living in survival mode and start creating a space where we can heal and thrive. But before we dive in, I would like to welcome my new listeners. Hi, I am Rose and I'm your host here. I'm just one woman with one voice trying to create a space where we all can heal together. If you're looking for a community that understands what you're going through, you're in the right place. I would love for you to be part of our sisterhood. So I want you to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you never miss another episode of a Sisters Love podcast. And don't forget to join our support group on Facebook called Sister Let's Heal Together, where we go deeper into these conversations that we start here on the podcast. We support each other and we hear each other's stories. Now, let's get into it and let's talk about survival mode and how you might be stuck and how we can start moving out of it. Welcome to A Sister's Love, the podcast that helps women who are healing by having those deep conversations, giving practical advice and words of encouragement. Come on, let's talk about it. Hey, my beautiful sisters. Welcome back to another episode of A Sisters Love podcast. And today we have a beautiful guest. Her name is Xaye, and she's going to come on here and tell us a little bit about her story and a little bit about her expertise. And to go into our topic of today is survival mode. So Xaye, can you tell the listeners a little bit about you, your little backstory, and how you landed on this episode today?
Yeah, so my name is Xaye Faith, and I am an accountability consultant. And how I support people is I help people create structure in their life. So helping people have routines, helping people get their things done, helping people feel more clear and settled in their lives. And so a little bit about my story. I love organizing, I love planning, but one thing that I realized, there's so many people who, they procrastinate. And I've dealt with that too, but they procrastinate, they self-sabotage, they lack confidence just because they don't feel like they have a strong foundation. And I just would see that. I'm like, man, we learn all these things in life or in school, but we never really learn how to structure ourselves or how to parent ourselves. And so with my just liking of helping people be productive, but then also planning and organizing, I'm like, I really want to help people just get their stuff done, because I feel like if everybody, felt organized, I think that more people would have the space to not only live more purposeful and fulfill lives, but they would also have more space to, contribute their actual strength. and their passions and their purpose to the world.
I totally agree, because that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today, survival mode. A lot of people don't realize and not understand that when we're healing, that it's a step before that we have to actually do, which is creating safety and stabilization. And that's where you're going to help us navigate today when we're talking about the topic of survival mode, because a lot of people don't know how to create that stabilization. And since you are so good at that, creating that foundation, which is safety and stabilization, is the foundation of your actual healing journey. We're going to navigate how we can help people do that today. But first, I want to go into some of the basics of exactly people understanding what survival mode is and some of the aspects of the things that they're going through so they can realize if they're actually in survival mode or not. From your aspect and your knowledge of it, what would you say survival mode is?
I think survival mode is being reactive to life, to things, to your day, to relationships. It's being reactive. Being in survivor mode is being depleted and living in stress and feeling overwhelmed, feeling burnt out, feeling uncertain, not being in your body, not trusting yourself, not believing yourself, not looking for outside validation. I think that's even some symptoms of being in survivor mode, not, not going in, not connecting with the source, not listening to your own voice. Survivor mode, and we can break it down into multiple layers. It could be the way that you act in the world. It can be the way you feel in the world, but then also inside your body. It could be the conversations that you're having with yourself. It can be how you interact with other people. So it looks different, but those are some of the things that I would say are the most prevalent. But even because I remember, you know, as a teenager, I'm like, what is the answer to life? I really want to have this God so I can do life right. I used to say stuff to like that when I was a teenager, but then there's so many people, I'm like, you look like you got it all together. But then like as an adult, like I'm seeing some of those people or I'm having a conversation with those people and I'm like, so you were looking calm, but you were inside, you were stressed, you was freaking out, you were not put together. And not like to talk bad about that person, but it's just like, oh, like even just suppressing and numbing out our lives. Like maybe you aren't scattered or chaotic, but maybe you're literally just suppressed and numb and existing rather than living. So
Yeah.
it really, I think for each individual to know if they're in survival, I would say just ask yourself, are you genuinely at peace with who you are and how you're living? Or have you just suppressed and numbed out? Or are you just ignoring the things that you can do because you are afraid of outside judgment or failure or things like that? You get to answer that for yourself. Only you know if you're in survival.
The way I sum it up is like, are you living life moment to moment, or are you living life in full? Like with people that's in survival mode, they're just looking for the next, they're looking for the next thing to do. Like, oh my God, what I'm going to do to relieve this. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just enjoying life, like, oh, life is enjoyable. Like, no, you're trying to relieve a pain. People that's in survival are looking to relieve pain. So most people that they're not actually living life like, okay, I'm in crisis mode. Like if you're always looking or trying to solve a problem or you're trying to find a way out of something, is usually when you're in survival mode. Like, oh my God, this person, or looking for a solution, like, oh my, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? And using the things that you're deciding to do are not good things. Like they're things that are not benefiting you, but just numbing the feeling that you're having. Say, oh, this person is yelling at me. Instead of me asking them to nicely calm their voice, you just do whatever they say to do so they can stop yelling. You know that it's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to get them to shut up. You know what I'm saying? So you're like your survival instincts. You're using survival instinct instead of using logical instincts to solve problem. Your problem solving is altered when you're in survival mode and you're just doing things to relieve the stress or relieve the pain, but not actually solve the problem. You're relieving, not solving. I think that's how I want to say it. Yeah, relieving, not solving. So for someone like me that like been in survival mode before and been in it for a long time, would you like to give us a couple examples what someone may be experiencing like on a day to day if they're in survival mode, like the things they will be interacting with or things they might be doing on a day-to-day that will show that they're kind of in a survival mode?
Yeah, I would think some examples of someone surviving. I would say just rushing. Like I would say waking up and like feeling rushed or feeling just waking up and just like going from thing to thing.
Hmm.
So like not giving yourself enough time to actually get prepared for your day. To me, I mean, I know that there are some super productive people and they don't have long morning routines, but it's something throughout their day that they are doing for them. But I just know that there are a lot of us who haven't learned how to structure our days. And so it's like we wake up, we hurry up because we got to hurry up and get to work to beat the traffic so we can get breakfast, drop the kids off real quick so we can get to work, be at work, doing all this outward stuff. And then we get off work, then we're back in traffic. It's like there's no moments of thinking time. There's no
Hmm.
moment of quiet. There's no moment of space. And then even that stand up all late, eating all late, hurry up doing this, cleaning up real quick, got to do all this. And then you falling asleep, scrolling on social media, falling asleep, um, eating, snacking at night, versus like, okay, let me actually prepare myself for bed so I can get the best quality sleep, feel like not actually getting quality sleep. I would say like that would be like a day. We can go deeper into different parts of the day, but I think just rushing without being intentional about the actions that we're taking. It's just like
Hmm.
I'm just doing all this stuff and I'm doing it out of automatic versus like I actually am prepared for this next step of my day. I'm prepared for work. I'm prepared to come home to my family. I'm prepared within myself. I've had time for myself, or even if it's just 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, we can just collect yourself and be with yourself in order to prepare for the next thing or the next moment of your day.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that because when I was in that mode, I always used to get frustrated. Like, why can't I get this done? Why is this not done? Like, I'm making myself frustrated. But again, not knowing that frustration comes from not being prepared. Like, why is this not done? Why is this not done? Why is not done? Because I never set a plan for it to be done. I never put any. I don't have any structure around my life. We're just moving and we're not structuring how we're moving. Like, it's not things like you said, you don't have to have a whole routine, but certain things should be in place for certain things to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
and people that's in survival mode, those things are not together. We're just moving. You're just moving. You're just like the next, oh, whatever. I'm gonna get it done later. It'll get done. It'll get done because it's just not on the top of your head. It's like you're looking for relief. You're looking for comfort. And like you said, strolling on the phone, that's comfort. That's gonna get that. Like, I don't want to feel stressful. I know if I get up and gotta organize shit, that's frustrated. That means I have to use brain power. I gotta do this. I don't have the capacity to do that. So I rather just stroll on my phone. It's easier.
Mm-hmm.
They're choosing the easier option. You're choosing easier options like eating, strolling on your phone, just laying down or just waiting, procrastinating, waiting for the last minute, or and like getting defensive with people or feeling frustrated with situations that you feel like everything is out of your control. You feel like no matter how much you put forth,
Yep.
that things can't change.
Yep.
You feel like,
Feeling out of control. I think that's the perfect
yeah,
phrase. Feeling out of control.
out of control. You just feel like you cannot, nothing you can do or say will change the outcome of what's going on in your life. And that's how I used to feel. I used to feel like no matter what I do, no matter how much effort I put in, or no matter how little effort I put in, the result will always be the same. And that's
Yeah.
how we feel. That's how most people feel when they're in like survival mode, like those day-to-day things. Like, you just feel like no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
the result will always be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. um what are some common ways people that what are some common ways that you think people end up in survival mode? I know trauma can be like one of those big factors, but What is some other life situations that like stressors that might put somebody else in that state? Because most people like, oh, survival mode. Most people are, it's like they associate everything with trauma, but it's other things in life that can happen that's not actually considered trauma that can actually trigger these things.
Yeah. I think most of us live out of survival mode because, like I was telling you before, like
Mhm.
we have not been taught how to structure ourselves. Like, I mean, unless it's something new or, I'm missing it, there is no class or no course in high school when they're teaching us about puberty and stuff or, how to cook and stuff. There's no class that says, hey, let's actually teach you how to plan your day. Let's teach you skills on even just communication skills. Let's teach you skills on how to do time management and stuff. You can take those classes in college, but most of us don't go to college. And then also it's an elective. It's not like a mandatory thing. And so I would say like just society, I think a lot of us, well, at least here in America, I know when I've gone to different countries, they have just a different standard of living. Like their priority is family time. Their priority is literally enjoying their day. They don't have a lot of things bombarding them that would distract them from, having so many things to do or, having being distracted, being overwhelmed, being stretched thin. When I've gone to like Costa Rica, like, it's not a first world country. And like those people are so peaceful.
Yeah.
Like they literally, they wake up when the sun get up, they do their life, they spend time with family, they, do what they gotta do, and they going to bed when the sun go down. It's not like they have, and I mean maybe that was the part of Costa Rica I was in. Of course, there are more developed parts of it, but I was in the jungle. Or,
Yeah.
I've gone to different like Honduras, like they literally are spending time together. It's not like so many distractions or so many societal pressures of having to live your life like this or going after these goals. Like they're almost in their little bubbles. And so they just living. They don't even know like, oh snap, like I'm not successful if I don't have all these things or if I don't have all these successes and stuff. So I think like to a degree, maybe especially in these first world countries, a lot of us are just built that way and we don't have that standard of this is what a fulfilling life is. We
Mhm.
have like, hey, if you have all of these things, then you're successful. Then you can be proud of yourself. Then you
Mhm.
mean something to the world versus like, you know what? If you just live your life, if you just live your life how you decide to structure your day, however you decide to do it, then you are successful if you are fulfilling and you are actually on course or on track to actually achieving your level of success. It doesn't have to be money, but maybe if you do want to, spend your life focused on building the most loving, caring family, then hello, you're successful. Not because you have all these things, not because you have all these degrees, not because you're doing all these things. Because I will say, even for myself, and I'm still healing baby Xaye,
Yeah.
and I'm learning that I and this is new, like this year, I'm like, man, I see myself as valuable, as I'm proud of myself whenever I'm doing more. Like I'm learning how to relax. I don't know how to relax. And I was actually just remembering this like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I have been moving and grooving since I was 14 years old. Like
Yes.
that's whenever I got my license.
Mhm.
That's when I got my job. That's when I was, but I've been doing sports since I was like in 7th grade. But when I was in a freshman, when I was in 9th grade, I was doing cheerleading. It was a year round. I was a competitive cheerleader. So I've never had space in my life to ever just relax. Like I'm just now like over, I would say, maybe I don't even know. Whenever it kind of hit me, like I need to calm down. But I will say this year I have been super intentional, where I've been like, girl, we taking it in, where we not listening to all the gurus.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna listen to me. I'm gonna trust me. I'm gonna connect with the source a little bit more. And so yeah, it's a journey. I hope
It
I answered your
definitely.
question. I kind of went on a
Yeah, yeah, you did. You did. You did. You answered it and you gave them a little more insight. So that's always awesome. It's always awesome to have the answer and a little personal insight because people get to see how you're applying it to real life. A lot of people just tell you what it is and don't show you how you navigate it yourself. So it's always great to have a story behind the answer. I totally agree, because I used to do the same thing. It's like about this year, I decided I have to be intentional about taking time and relaxing and just not feeling overwhelmed all the time, because life happens and we're living in a society where financial and certain standards have to be upheld. Even if you don't want to uphold it, you have to, because it puts you at risk. It puts your family at risk. It put a lot of things at risk. So even though, like you said, you're in Costa Rica, they get to wake up and worry about family. But here, technically family is supposed to be first, but actually in the States, family is second, because financial is first. Because
Third,
without,
fourth.
huh?
I was saying maybe third or fourth place. I mean, you
Yeah,
have people who say they're family, but a lot of times, if they aren't super obsessed about family,
yeah,
family still
yeah,
falls to maybe 4 or 5.
yeah.
Honestly,
But it's not like the first thing on someone's list, because mostly everybody first thing is financial, because we
yeah,
feel like without financial is no way that we can actually live or survive on this earth and on this in this United States of America. Like, because without financials, that's your house. You don't have shelter. You don't have food, and your kids don't have clothing, or you don't have clothing. You don't have just the basics. You don't have basics without that. You can go get that from other places, but some people, pride and stuff like that, won't allow them to go to shelters or go other places to get those things. So that becomes priority, and that comes in the way of actually living life or succeeding in life the way we want to, because all our decisions is based on financial gain.
yeah. Yeah. And it makes sense because you want to do better and be better. But like to your point, the part of Costa Rica that I went to, for instance, but I can't even just blame it on that because my boyfriend, he's actually European
Mm-hmm.
and they are still close knit. Like I went to go spend the holidays with them last year and they still sit at the table. I mean, not every meal, but they still like, hey, we gonna eat together. And I'm like, what?
What?
When the food done, you go in there and you eat when you ready to eat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have to sit at the table. They have like him and his brothers, it's 4 of them. They have brothers calls every month. Like
Oh,
I'm so proud of your mama and your daddy.
yeah.
He did so good. But like they actually, and I have a friend over there too. Like they it's just I think it's a cultural thing. Like they actually like literally what matters is my family. And you have some other cultures like that. From my experience, the Hispanic, the Latina
Yeah.
culture, like they are all about riding hard for family. But yeah, I think even within ourselves and even within our own homes, we get to decide what is valuable for us and make that the priority and don't back off that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And just like you said, so that's what I want to go into talking about next, like creating that structure so that we
Okay.
can make those decisions of what is valuable and what's not valuable and what to prioritize, so that we can remove ourselves out of that survival mode and start moving ourselves into actually healing and getting things moving in our life in a way that is suitable for us so that we can progress in life. So can you give us a little bit insight on how we can do that?
Yeah, I would say, a lot of times when we talk about healing our child, healing our childhood, or loving ourselves, or becoming our own best friends, it's so crazy. I don't know about y'all, but I almost never saw myself as a person. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know if this is my first time saying this out
Yeah.
loud, but I be having these thoughts. Like, it wasn't until this year where I was like, girl, like you trying to have a relationship with these people, or you trying to be friends with these people, you trying to, do all this stuff, but be your own friend,
Yeah.
girl. Be your own friend. And so it was kind of awkward. I mean, and for a while I've been on the journey of like, okay, yeah, but like really that journey where like, girl, I got you. I'm not gonna put you last. I'm not gonna sacrifice you no more. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna sabotage you no more. I'm not gonna be shamed of you. I'm not gonna be mad at you because you failed at something that you tried for the first time. Like you're figuring out. Like really having that emotion, like treating myself literally like my little nephew. Like I would never, like some of the things I done said about myself or how I done punished myself, I would never do him like that. Or
Mhm.
my little cousins, I would never do them like that. So why would I do me like that? So that's what I mean. Like it wasn't until I'm doing a lot of work and I'm like, I never saw myself as a person. Like but this is my first time doing a lot of things. Like, this is my first time being this age. This is my first time
Yeah.
this activity. Like, why am I so hard on myself? So I think,
Mhm.
number one, realizing that we are emotional, sensitive, spiritual creatures. And yes, we have did some things. Yes, we have thought some things. Yes, we have this idea of who we think we are. And we get to be like, okay, but when I look in the mirror, this is where I'm at. No game, no shame, no guilt. I'm going to be nice to this version of myself that sometimes feel yucky, sometimes I don't understand, and we get to really just acknowledge ourselves and bring awareness to, like, okay, hello, this is me. So some things that I've done over the years, mirror work. Get
Yes.
out of the shower naked, looking at my body, looking at myself, looking at my hair in its natural state, like literally like, hello. And even like, it was so crazy. I remember like the very first time I did that, I had just went natural, like back in like almost 10 years ago, back in 2014. And prior to that, girl, it was weave down, relaxer. Like,
Yes.
for the first time, I'm like, my hair is growing out and it's natural, girl. And I'm like, girl, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'm
Mhm.
in the mirror, like just telling myself I love me. I don't know how many times I had to say it, but eventually I got used to seeing me natural. And I'm like, oh, hey, okay,
Yeah.
girl. So that mirror work, journaling, literally talking to yourself, no filter, like you would give advice to the person you care about most, or the person you want the relationship with the most. And I'm leaving that open because you may have a friend, you may have a boo, you may have a parent, who, like, how would you want to, like, give the game, like give like the most authentic advice or strategy to that version. Like, man, if this person is depending on me to succeed, like, and journal that thing out. Another thing, if you don't like to write, I'll literally open up my camera or even the voice recorder on my phone, and I talk to myself and I listen to it. And even sometimes it's like, oh, listen to my voice, but feel her out, feel her out. Also, just I pay for a lot of personal development. I'm always doing leadership work, and eventually you'll figure out, like, okay, heard that before, that wasn't that deep, but
Yeah.
eventually find the one or the community where you're like, okay, we done did some work. And I mean different types. Like, you have the personal development, and do you have the healing stuff, going to retreats, and literally getting nasty, and not putting band-aids on some of the things that happen to us. Like, if some stuff happened to us, like, if that happened, yes, it sucked. Let me cry it out. Oh, snap, I'm having an anxiety attack. Let me experience this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna sit in it. I'm gonna
Sit.
sit in it. And then just allow ourselves to be like, okay, oh, just be willing to do the nasty, uncomfortable, dirty things,
Mm-hmm.
and know that I can get through this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of emotional. It's not physical work. I mean, sometimes you cry so hard your whole body just tired, but sometimes it's beautiful. I've done. I mean, you want to know? I've done ayahuasca retreat, meaning it's plant medicine.
Oh, okay. I'm down to hear about that because I love herbs. I love
Girl,
all these.
and it was some people have very very scary journeys. Mine was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mine was so beautiful, but I'm willing to. I mean, I was kind of nervous, like, oh, stop, like, please let me stay in my right mind after this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's not a lot of education about it. I'm like, oh, honey, please just let me come back.
Come back.
Girl, let me come back. But I mean, just, I'm willing to, like, experience
Mm-hmm.
life, and so you just gotta listen to yourself, trust yourself, ask yourself, like, hey, what's something that I know I can do right now? Picking up a pen and paper, that might be the first thing. Or I need to just go on a walk. Let me just go hug a tree real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me something, tree. If you don't want to listen to yourself, listen to nature first. I mean, it's just you got. The thing is, a lot of times we don't trust ourselves so much. We're just asking everybody else, like, what did you do? That worked for them based on their
Yep.
generational curses, based on their drama, their trauma, based on who
Exactly.
they are as an individual. But you get to be like, hey, me, what do I need? And then just start. And then as you go on this path, more things will open up for you, and you can navigate it and be like, I don't want to do that. And I'm okay with not wanting to do that, even though that's what everybody's telling me I need to do. I want to
Yep.
do this. I'm gonna try it. And you begin to learn yourself and start creating that self-love.
I totally agree, because that's the purpose of the podcast, is to introduce all different avenues and different ways of people to navigate the healing journey, because people is usually people's like one path for all. Like, no, never would that ever be, because like just like someone that experienced DV, like if you experience the DV, everybody experience to that is different, and you cannot say what worked for me can work for this person. So it's all about gathering information, seeing what resonate with you and what doesn't resonate. Keep what works, throw out the rest. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this worked for me, like, oh, this person said try this, I'll try it. It doesn't work, trash it, move on to the next thing.
Right.
And don't feel guilty about that didn't work for me, and don't think that, oh, that's the end of it. Oh, that worked so well for that person, it's not going to work, it didn't work for me, so I'm broken. That's what people think. They feel like they're broken when they try something that works so great for somebody else, and it's like they're healed, they're working, why not me, why I'm so broken, why I'm so, and then they go into that self-criticism and hating themselves and just feel like there's no resolution to what they're going through. It's about trial and error. Give yourself grace, keep trying things, give yourself compassion, and just don't give up until you find what works for you.
And even like, even in business, like I'm gonna be so transparent with you. I literally
Yeah.
just had this conversation yesterday with one of my girlfriends, and I'm like, yo, what's wrong with me? I'm like, yo, like we all learned this model, like this. We hired a coach, and that's how we met. We met in
Yeah.
business mastermind. I'm like, y'all learned this thing, and y'all are doing your thing, but I'm like, I haven't figured out, like, I mean, I'm getting some results, but I'm not like popping right now. And she was like, girl, like, you don't know what we went through. You don't know what we had to go through, or the I forgot. She was like the construction that they had to do mentally and emotionally in order to get these results. And she was like, don't, like, what are you doing? And I love you. I'm glad. Number one, I'm glad I got that out, because I'm like, what? But she's right. And I already know most of their story, like, because we be talking, but I still, like, in that moment, I was like, bro, like, why
Yeah, like, why me, bruh? Like,
yeah,
why me?
but I'm so glad, like, I was able to open my mouth to her and be like, girl, like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm just having a thought, girl. Like, I'm not jealous. I'm proud
Yeah.
of you, because I know what we was 2 years ago. I know what we was. But at the same time, girl, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? She was like, no, girl, like, there's just some more things that you need to be prepared for before you get this abundance of flow. Like,
I agree with that.
she was like, you don't want all this extra abundance, and you don't know what you're doing. Your system's breaking down now. Your reputation bad because you couldn't handle it. She was like, you're doing your thing. You're doing the best you know how, but it's just some other things that you got to grow through in order to get what you're looking for. But we're not doing that, I said.
Yeah, I totally agree, because that's what we're talking about when we go into that survival mode, is creating that stabilization. So you're like, oh, I'm ready for this, right? I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to do that. But what happens where you at this level, right? You're here. And then you didn't, that foundation down here ain't right, right? And then that thing hit and that joint cracked down there. Your ass falling right through that hole. You be like, oh, I'm back at ground zero. I'm back at ground zero. You know how to get there a little faster because you did some of the work, but now you back down here instead of having that stabilization where you're like, boom, that hit. I got my foundation is good. So when something do trigger you or something does happen, you know what to do in that instance. You're like, okay, all right, I got a hiccup. I know this to do to get past it, instead of you converting back to your old ways or going to self-criticism or blaming yourself or just getting numb or stuck where you are. You get to navigate that in a healthier way, and you know what to do. You already got those steps. You already got the thing solid. You solid. So you know, like, okay, that don't mean nothing, nigga. I got you. Let's on to the next. On to the next. You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with that. Like, that's a good conversation. A lot of people don't have with this stuff. They don't understand that you have to have that foundation good. You have to have that structure. So sometimes, everybody's house is different. I'm building a mansion. Some people just want a 2-story house. So
That's true.
that mansion gonna take a little longer. That foundation gonna take a little longer.
Yep.
And you live down south, so you need waterproof and all that. So you
Honey, apparently. Apparently, we gotta make sure this thing is.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you got generators and all of that. You gotta make sure you got all of that.
Solid. Can't leave that out.
You gotta leave all that. So you gotta make sure that joint is solid. So can you give us a little bit, like, when you're helping some of your clients, can you give us some of the things some advice that you would give them, some of them tools that you can help them, that you help them with when it comes to creating their foundation, when it comes to accountability and stuff like that?
Yeah. I actually gifted your audience one of our one pagers to get them started. So honestly, when we first work with people, we're like, okay, let's start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So we teach them how to brain dump. Literally everything that's on your mind, get it out and put it on paper. Or if you're a digital person, open up a Google, a Word doc and type anything that you feel like you need a target, like it's something that you want to achieve. Write that out. Anything that you know that needs to get done, anything that you want to see some type of outcome from it. It doesn't always have to be business. It doesn't always have to be family. It gets to be every part of your life. So what do you need to do for yourself? Personal care, personal time, like places you want to travel, like just empty your brain, because a lot of times we have like, oh, I need to do this. Oh man, there's this thing I know I need to do. And you just have it up here, but you never take it out or you never make any progress towards it. So it's just taking up space in your brain. So the first step, it would be definitely just brain dump, like everything that's on your mind, that's in your body, that's a thought, even if it's something you probably won't do for another year or so, just put it down. So then after you brain dump, and this can take 5 minutes, this can take 50 minutes, it can take 5 hours. And the beautiful thing about it is we are ever evolving, progressive creatures.
Yeah.
So it's like this brain dump, this think dump, it literally is something that you can always add things. So anytime you have an idea, like you're not going to do it within the next 5 minutes, the next 24 hours, just put it on your brain dump list, right? The next step, you are going to say, okay, whew, I promise you, after just doing the brain dump, you look at that stuff a lot of times, it's not even as bad as you think. Maybe the first time you'd be like, ooh, it's a lot of things in my
Yeah.
mind. But maybe one big thing, and it's maybe I've seen people have teen things, or some people, they actually take their time and they literally are thinking about every pillar of their life. They're thinking about fitness wise, they're thinking about family wise, they're thinking about financial, they're thinking about hobbies, they're thinking about what can they do for the community, they're thinking about like the house, they're thinking about every pillar of their life. So they actually take time, and so it is an extensive list. But if you're just doing it quickly, just to get yourself back really quickly, you look at these things and you say, okay, cool, like this is all the stuff that's in my brain. Then you look at the list and you say, okay, I'm going to pick the 3 things that is the most important and that's the most urgent. Like, I get to do this. If I do this, it's going to help me progress. It's going to clear up so much space for me emotionally and mentally. And you pick those 3 things. And then you really get to just support yourself. You could say, okay, because I'm one creature and this is my bandwidth at this moment, I'm going to pick one thing. What is one thing that I can do right now that is going to make the biggest change in my life within the next week or the next 24 hours? You take that one thing, and normally the reason why our brain feels so full is because if we have an idea or something that we need to do, it's a lot of mini steps to that one idea. So it's like the mini steps are also in our brain clogging up space.
Yeah.
But when we say, hey, what I really need to do, I need to clean up the house. I'll just use that because, cleaning up our space is definitely super supportive to us feeling good energetically, mentally, emotionally. So you say, oh, I really need to clean up this house. Like, I can't take this house no more, right? Then you say, okay, what do I need to clean up in the house, right? Because you can say I need to clean up everything, but that takes time, that takes energy, that takes faith. Maybe some things you can delegate to other people in that house with you. Maybe some things you're like, I really am not I can't do it right now. I would rather pay somebody $50, $100, even $300, so I could spend my energy and my time focusing on something else. And that's going to be done. It's going to be done right. And I don't have to worry about it. Even if it's, I don't know, something big, like it can be a big project, like putting in the pool, whatever. So then you're going to say like, okay, so right now, my number one out of the 3 things that I chose, my number one thing that I want to focus on right now is cleaning up my house. Now you're going to break down, what are the things for me to have a successful, cleaned up home that's going to give me a peace of mind, that's going to help me feel good? What are the things that I need? What are the actual action steps that I need to do? Is it cleaning out the closet? You actually choose for yourself, like, what does the cleaned up home look? Because we say I need to clean up. Okay. But then you clean up your bathroom, but you still don't feel good because your living room looking a hot mess, or the kitchen the dishes, you know what I'm saying? So now you need to take that goal and you need to say, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do, and you write down all those steps of what does a cleaned up home look like. And then that's where you just say, okay, boom, if all of this stuff is done, I feel successful about my cleaned up home. And then from there, that's whenever you just, okay, let me do this, let me do this. And you can even break it down even more. You can say, okay, this is going to take me 15 minutes. Oh, I can do this. This is going to take me 5 minutes. I just need to pay this bill or whatever. I need to get this mail off the thing, whatever. And you can say, okay, every day, if you just chip away at one of those tasks, by the end of the month, by the end of the week, you're gonna be able to check off, you know what? Boom, I'm done cleaning up my house. Now I can go to action step priority target number 2, right? We always say whenever you're doing this stuff like this, you always want to say, okay, I'm creating this list today, but I'm gonna follow up with myself tomorrow. Or I'm gonna follow up with myself a week from now. I'm gonna give myself in 2 weeks, or at least by the end of the month. Don't try to go past the end of the month. So that way you can make sure you're actually completing all of those action steps. And then whenever you say, oh snap, it's the 15th, I need to go look at my list, then you can say, you know what, okay, cool, I didn't do this, I did this, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. And you have a conversation with yourself. I didn't do this task because I don't want to do it.
Yep.
I didn't do this because it makes me anxious. That's whenever you open up that area of improvement. That's whenever you open up that space and you start to say, you get to coach yourself. You say, well, I just don't want to do it. Okay, you don't want to do it. You can either not fight yourself, give it to somebody else in the house, or you can hire it. Or do you even really need to do it? Like, why? You can even say, this makes me anxious because when I was a kid, you can begin to piece stuff. And then that's whenever you begin to build that relationship with yourself, because you're not mad at yourself because you didn't do it. You were honest. I don't want to do it. Or this makes me emotionally triggered. And you get to explore and you can start journaling. And then after that, you pick the next task, do the same thing. After you complete all the tasks with the house, then you do your other task that's on your list. So that is the process. And like I said, we actually gave y'all, it's a 1-pager printout form that everybody can just start to do that today. But that's how my brain works. And I realize a lot of times, again, we're overwhelmed because we say, oh yeah, I need to do this one thing. But that one thing actually got 10 steps or it has 5 steps. And we feel overwhelmed because we aren't making progress because the whole thing isn't done. But when you see all the steps, it's like, oh, check.
Check. I totally agree, because every morning I have a list. I have my personal, a list of 5. I do not go over 5. 5 personal things that I need to do and 5 business things that I need to do. I do not overwhelm myself. I do not overextend myself. I do not have 5 things. And I make sure they're very small 5 things, because I used to deal with the same thing, like things that I really want to do. So if it's something I really don't want to do, I'll break it down into like many steps. Like organizing my desk. They got too many stuff. I got my stuff on that desk. I got my kids' schoolwork. I got all this stuff. Like, I don't really want to organize all this stuff. So I just choose, go through kids' schoolwork, keep pictures, throw all the rest of the stuff in the garbage. That's it for today. That's it. Then go through my personal mail, go through that, see what's good, throw it out. 1 task a day. The things that I really don't want to do, I make sure I break it down into small little tasks where it's not looking at it as a whole, just one part of that task. You know what I'm saying? So I do that. And then when it comes to my business stuff, like doing social media, I hate it. I don't like doing videos. I don't like doing that. Even though I'm on this podcast, please don't come for me like, what do you mean you don't like doing videos and you're on a podcast? This is part of my healing journey. Best believe this is not part of the goal. This is something I don't like to do, but I am here doing it because I know for the bigger picture to get done, I have to do this. So I make a point where I only do it on specific days. Like, that's what you say, you don't usually book on Friday. Today is the only day I'm willing to do it. I'm not willing to do it no other day. If it ain't on Friday, you ain't get me to do nothing else. Like, so this is part of my process of making me do something I know I devoted to this day, so I'm going to do it today. And anything outside of this day, I don't have to worry about, I don't have to think about it, because this is the day. So I try to make it structure to a point where I know I can navigate things in a way that's going to make me want to do it, and make it as simple as possible for me to do it and easy as possible for me to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I will say, and I think that's where you and I come in, because you are an accountability coach and I'm an accountability consultant. I think that's where we come. One of the things, like, because some people still feel overwhelmed, and some people can't operate off a to-do list. And the thing that I really loved about the thing that we were like, what the world is missing is really when we work with our clients, of course, we have our methodology and we have our process of how we think. It helps people like create a system for themselves. But the thing is, when people work with us, we're not teaching you all this new material because you already got enough stuff that you need to get done, right?
Yeah.
But when people work with us, we are literally like, hey, okay, this is the things. That was a quick version of the process, but like, these are the things you need to do. All right, come on, let's get it done right now. And at the end of every session, you are walking away with something off your list because some people need to be handheld. Like some people know, like, oh, I know I need to do this thing, but I'm not doing it. And so when you know, like, for example, everybody knows like the whole gym example, you know, if you have a trainer waiting for you, or if you have a class that's like, I have to be there at this time, like you're going to get there because you're like, okay, I already paid. I'm in alignment. I want to do this anyway. It's for my goals, and you're going to show up because somebody's waiting. So having that accountability piece is so important. And that's why I was saying involving, especially if it's something with the house, involving other people who live in this house. Like, hey, this is something we all get to participate in because it's a part of living. Like, no matter how old you are, you're going to be living somewhere and some things need to be done with the house. It needs to be maintained. And having the accountability also, it really supports us. Like even with, and I'm like my conversation with my friend yesterday, like we had a conversation. I'm like, bro, like I know I'm doing the stuff, girl, but I'm not seeing the result I want. Like her being us vibing and her being my friend, like actual friend, she's like, nah, bro, you don't know some of the things I've been through in order to be able to do that. Like, girl, stop playing. So having accountability structure, and sometimes the accountability structure is like, okay, I need to be at this time, at this class at this time. Sometimes the accountability is having a person. Sometimes the accountability may be just something in our phone, like a app. Or I know for me, I have a time block for each app on my social media app, so I don't be scrolling, right?
Yeah.
But in that journey, as we're learning to not self-sabotage, as we're learning to lead ourselves, as we're learning to not procrastinate, it's really important that we have different layers of accountability in order for us to be successful, because that willpower and that willpower it's short and few, right? It takes like a lot of times we have to be in crisis and survival mode, like, oh my god, I have to turn this paper in or I'm going to get an F. So you know what I'm saying? So it is important that we start creating different accountability systems around our life in order to move forward, or to create that muscle to be able to, so we can actually start to execute on our own.
Yeah, I totally agree. And avoid the excuses that comes with not doing what you do. Like you said earlier, like when you don't do it, acknowledge, like, I didn't do it because I didn't want to do it. Not because, oh, I couldn't do it because I had to do this, and this, and that. You know, be honest with yourself, because if the more excuses you give yourself, the more you push blame onto something else instead of you actually being able to navigate why these tasks or these things are not being done. A lot of people don't think like life really happened. It was like spilt milk is spilt milk. It doesn't matter how it's spilled. The milk is spilled. Now either we're going to get it up or we're going to leave it there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't do the task. It didn't get done. Who cares why it didn't get done? It didn't get done. So now let's navigate how we're going to get this, how we're going to get it done. I was about to curse. Yeah, I curse a lot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, New York is coming.
Yeah.
I heard, I was like, ooh, New York coming out.
Yeah, so let's just get it done. Like, yeah, I'm more assertive. Like, let's get it done. Let's the excuses out the window. Like, I was late to work. Okay, just apologize. I'm sorry. You can apologize. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't get it done. Okay, let's get it done. Let's see why I'm not gonna get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Just make yourself accountable for yourself, make yourself responsible for the things you did and you didn't do, and just move forward from that instead of just like placing blame or looking for someone else to do the certain things. So like you said, some people do need hand holding, but at some point it still requires you to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to learn, this person, it only can take you but so far. Eventually you have to work on yourself. You have to do it by yourself, because eventually if something happened to you, that's why I say to my kids, like, if something happened to me tomorrow, what's going to happen? You're going to convert back to who you was or what you was doing? No, you have to take force. You have to take responsibility for yourself. You have to learn how to do it. If no one on this earth is willing to help you, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that's how I look at things, because I always look at myself like, yo, if I can't do it for myself, how do I expect somebody else to do it for me? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I want somebody to put all this effort into, pour all this energy into me, and I'm not willing to do it myself. That
Mm-hmm.
becomes exhausting and unfair to other people that's putting all the work and sacrifice their time, and I'm not willing to do it. And I feel like I have excuse. Well, it doesn't matter. I have trauma, so I get to have excuse. You know, it's like I've been through some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is shit. Like, we can either deal with it and navigate it, or we can sit in it. You know what I'm saying? And that's where that accountability come in, and just acknowledging, yes, I've been through some stuff. But what's next? Is this going to be my story, or am I going to make my own story? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think trauma is their story, and it's not. It's just a part of your story. You know what I'm saying? We get to navigate our story. We get to make our story. Like like I said, like I've been through some stuff as a kid. My mom wasn't the best mom. I was in DV. I was SA, all that. But the things that my mom didn't teach me, the things that I didn't know about experiencing what I experienced, when I became an adult, it no longer became my parents' responsibility. It no longer became the person's responsibility to heal. It became my responsibility. Be like, well, my mom never taught me this. I never learned this. It's your turn. Tap in. We got to tap in. We have to tap in. And that's why I want everybody to know, like, it's you have a fighting chance. You can, but you have to tap in. You have to tap in. You cannot wait for somebody like, hey, let's go. Well, I guess this is your tap on your shoulder, like, we tapping y'all in right now. Tap in, tap in. I guess just your wake up call. We're here to tap y'all in today, so y'all can start this process. Y'all can hold yourself accountable for the things that you are not doing, so that you can get the things that you can do, so that you can start to build that foundation, so you can get to where you want to be in life, and you can actually see the results that you want to see, not what the world wants you to see, but what you want to see.
Well, I do want to say shout out to you for being so vulnerable and like sharing, like choosing this path to actually share your story. Because I think another thing that we self-sabotage and procrastinate, because there's so many things, like especially for people who never leave home. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when I say home, like you never leave your state or your
Mm-hmm.
town, whatever. And there's just so much we don't know. You know, a lot. It was sometimes social media get a lot of backlash, but I'm so grateful because it's bringing the world together, and we can kind of see like other ways to live,
Mm-hmm.
right? And shout out to traveling and all that. But I really want to just acknowledge you for putting this podcast on, so people have a resource to say, you know what, like she's been through these things, and you know she's connecting with all these other women, and they're sharing their journey. Because a lot of times, like, we think something is wrong with us, and like I said, some things that I'm like, oh my gosh, like this sounds so amateur, but I'm like, I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm a bad person. I'm not dumb. I literally just was not exposed to that, or I
Yeah.
didn't know that was an option. You know what I'm saying? But now that I do, I'm going to take this and I'm going to create something from it, you know? And again, a lot of the things that we're doing in life, we're doing for the first time. And so
Mm-hmm.
we get to really just honor ourselves and know I'm a new to this, because that was another one of my downfalls. I think every time I started something new, I just assumed, just because, you know, I had the qualities to be successful, I just automatically assumed that I would be successful at it. Because, but it's like, girl, you just started yesterday. Like, how you
Yeah.
gonna be at the top, and you get literally just got here? And so I'm just really learning to be on the journey, to go through the process, and to, it's a meritocracy. Like, that's one of my favorite words. I learned it a few years ago. Actually, probably closer to like 10 years ago. But a meritocracy is when you earn it, like it's by merit. Like, it's not where, you know, just because you were born into the family, you're treated like royalty. It's not.
Yeah.
Like, I put in the work, I'm consistent, I'm disciplined, you know, interested, I'm giving all my efforts. Like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
merit. Like, I'm here because I earned this. I worked for it. I was intentional about it. It wasn't just given to me. So yeah.
I totally agree with that. Like, that's the best way to do it, because that's when it sticks. It sticks when you earn
Yeah.
it. it sticks around longer because you don't want to lose it. You don't want to sacrifice it. When you earn something and you work for it, you be like, I am not jeopardizing this for anything or no one. Like, I'm good. That's when you know when to walk away from opportunities. That's when you know when to put yourself first. That's when you know when something is not aligned with who you are or where you continue still want to go. You know what I'm saying? So that gives you an opportunity to view the world in a different aspect, in a way that's going to keep you where you need to go and keep you on the path that you need to go for your healing or your success or wherever you're trying to go.
And then also, it's like whenever you cultivate something, it's from you. It's like you're not doing it because somebody else said it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're doing it, you're putting your energy, your effort, your time, you know, you're putting yourself into something. Like that's why, the more we cultivate and we love ourselves, that's how we become more confident. Because it's like, bro, like, and I have the wisdom. It's like I put the energy into creating myself. I'm not going to allow somebody's opinion or little mark or somebody else's idea of who I get to be. Like, nah, like I put the energy in, I put the time in, I put the attention in, I'm putting the money into myself. And so that's how we create value in things whenever we invest in things. So wherever we put our attention, our money, our time into, that's what we are the most invested in. And that just kind of shows some of the things that we value.
Totally agree. So I want to move into the last part of the podcast where we do like a game, and it's called like the pathway of healing, where I just give some scenarios and we kind of just give advice on it to help people that's actually going through some stuff, and we can see how they can help them navigate these real life experiences. Because us talking and stuff like that, but I'm going through some stuff. I want to know how you gonna help me today. Like you said, those the things that you can do right now. The first scenario I want to talk about is you find yourself constantly on high alert, even in a situation where there's no immediate danger, whether you're at work, home, or with a friend. You're always waiting for something bad to happen. You can't seem to relax or let your guard down. How do you begin to shift from survival mode to a more relaxed present state?
Ask yourself, like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I reacting like this? Ask yourself. And it may not come out the very first time you do it, but the more you're quiet and the more you are just allowing yourself to speak up, because some of us have been through some things where our voice is so suppressed that it doesn't even know it's okay to speak, even with us. And because we haven't been our own best friend, we don't even know what our voice sounds like. We don't even know if it's safe to even speak to ourselves, because we have also abused ourselves, not because we don't like ourselves. I mean, some people know that they don't like ourselves, but some people are in a denial that they don't like themselves. But it's not because something's wrong with you. It's normally because you didn't know, you've been beat up so bad, and everybody or circumstances have made you feel like crap, or that was your perception of the situation, that you thought, well, I don't matter and I'm not enough, and all the negativity. So when you allow yourself, you ask yourself, like, why am I so anxious? Why am I so sad? Why do I feel so miserable? Why? And sometimes you get an immediate answer, but sometimes you just got to sit with it. And you can do a couple things. You can literally just sit with it and let it come and cry that thing out, honey, and just love on yourself and forgive yourself and just let it come up. You can write it out. You can talk to, if you have somebody in your life and they are in your best interest and you want to talk to somebody else. But I think a lot of the work is within ourselves. I think writing it out, talking it out, crying it out, just allow yourself to feel that sadness and allow yourself to hear and feel the answer.
I agree with that. Just sit in it. Just sit with it and breathe through it. Regulate your breathing. If you regulate your breathing, you'll regulate your system. So give yourself time to sit with it and breathe through it. And then after you regulate yourself, just like you said, journal with it, talk about it. Just try to go what I call root chasing. Like, I need to get to the bottom of this. Let's see, why do this keep occurring? Why is this still triggering me? And I thought I worked on it, or I didn't know it was here, or I didn't understand how deep it went. Like, some people think like it's surface based. Some things is deeper than what we think it is. Like, oh, I don't like onions. and you just think you don't like onion because you don't like the taste of it, but you don't like onions because when you was 3, somebody smacked you in the face with an onion. And you were like, I don't want nothing to do with no onions. But you didn't realize that because that memory could have been blocked until you go into the deep depths of why you hate onions so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like exploring, find the root cause of things, because if we don't dig out the root, that weed gonna keep growing back.
Yeah. And even because we've been dancing around this as well. The whole onion thing. We could, and there's some things in our life where we've been taught like this is okay, and it wasn't okay for you.
No.
And so you mentioned like some of the things with your mom, and so it's like, I mean, because I have family members like that too. Just because something doesn't matter to you, you don't get to take away my voice and say, well, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal to me.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal to me. And if you don't care about me enough, and it's like, so things have happened and they may seem small and people are like, oh, you so dramatic. You do too much. Oh, everything bothers you. So sensitive. Yes, I am. Yeah. And that's how I was created. And that matters to me. But it takes us a while to be able to say that and not feel bad because you're sensitive, or not feel bad because you are, because that sensitivity is not because you are weak or you are punk. It's because I'm so aligned with my divinity and I'm so in tune with my emotion and my spirituality. Oh, and by the way, I'm just energetically, I can feel, but that doesn't mean that just because you want to pick at me or you don't want to be responsible for something you did or something you said to me, you do not get to make me feel bad that something doesn't feel right in my spirit or in my body. I'm saying, hey, I don't like that, or hey, so I want to bring this back because a lot of times we don't even trust, like we know inside of our spirit, inside of our heart, inside of our body, this does not feel right. But because people have told us it's not that big of a deal, or this is okay, but your body is saying this is not okay. You're not built like other people. We're not built like each other. So there's some things that other people are willing to tolerate. There's some things that other people are willing to deal with. But if your body or your emotions or your mind is saying, I don't like this, honor that shit and stand up for yourself. Because it's like, I just keep hearing like people like, oh, thank you for this moment. Because I'm like, there's just so many times where people have told me like, I'm doing too much, or like, I'm being too sensitive. I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't like it. I'm sorry. Just because the rest of y'all like it, I don't like it. And I get to take up space and I get to be here too because I matter. I was born on this planet just like the rest of y'all. Just because your personality may be a little bit bigger than mine, right? I'm telling you, that is not okay. You think it's okay for you and what you're willing to tolerate. But for me, it's not okay.
Not okay. And I totally agree with that. People telling you minimizing your feelings and your thoughts and your statements is not okay. So if you feel like something is not okay, always speak up, always say what's on your heart, always say what's on your chest, because say it with your chest. Listen, I'm gonna say it with my chest, because at the end of the day, you are your only advocate. If you don't speak up for yourself, nobody else is going to do it. You teach people how to treat you. So if they're telling you things is too sensitive, then if you let them get away with it the first time, they're like, well, you ain't saying nothing last time. So what do it matter this time? Like, why is it a big deal now?
I changed my mind.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And it could be the opposite way. Maybe it was a big deal, but maybe today, you know what? I thought it was a big deal, but maybe it's not. We are evolving human beings. We're not the same every single day. And that's the one thing we can't, I want to put that out too. Like, don't beat yourself up if you can't stick to the routine. Maybe today you just need to get some extra rest. You may not do all the things on the list, but especially women, like, I think, aren't we like ovulating like 3 weeks out the month?
Yes, we are 3. When I discovered that, I said, you gotta be, they said, so I'm only myself for 1 week. I'm only myself for 1 week. Like, you lying. I said, God, why me? Jesus, why me? Because like, you did us dirty.
We tap into that femininity because we're fluid. We're like water, right? So it's like, just because you change your mind, I mean, we may need to go seek some therapy. I'm not going to say you're not, but just because we change our mind or we are going off how we feel, like, we get to honor today. I am super emotional. I'm super sensitive, and it's okay. And I
It's
don't want you
okay.
talking to me. But then tomorrow I'm like, hey, no, let's get back into it. But you also, that's why you can't guilt trip of your journey, because maybe this is only going to last a year. Maybe it's only going to last 2 months. But it's like, if you're healing, you don't know yet. Like, you haven't, there's so many things that like we are discovering and we're opening up that we've been through. But we get to, it's still new for us. Like, there's so many of us who have never been really kids for real, for real.
Yeah.
We've been little adults, and we were praised. Oh, you so mature, you're so grown.
Yeah, I hate that. Oh, I hate that, because that's
But
how I
I was
was.
never a
Since
kid.
I was a kid, I've never been taught like, oh, that's my sweet little girl. No, I've been the mature one my whole life.
And
Yep, I still wear it to this day. I am the middle child, and I had carried all my siblings,
me
all of
too,
us still to
girl.
this day.
Me too.
And my mama, I said, I'm sick of being your mama. Like, I am not your mom. Like, no, she comes to me to solve all her kids' problems. I'm like, not today, mom, not today. You're going to actually have to be a mom today. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not dealing with your grandkids. I ain't dealing with your kids. I ain't dealing with you. Not today. Have a blessed day. And I hang up on her, like, have a blessed day. Them your kids.
Yep.
Them your kids
Yeah,
today.
and that's something because I think for the middle child, I don't know if it was something. I feel like we are like the ones who like tend to outperform a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because it's maybe we were like forgotten about a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
Yeah.
weren't the first golden child, but then we're not the baby. So it's like I found a common thread through middle kids that we're like, we do a lot to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not healthy, girl. Just relax.
Yeah.
You still matter if you don't do the best. You're doing your best, but you don't have to like
Do
force
all the
yourself.
extra stuff. You don't have to do the people pleasing part.
Oh, girl, yes.
Yes, it's a lot. Being the middle child.
Yes. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, the first one, most of the first one. It just depends on the family. We all
That
got some
first
work
child
to
is
do.
entitled.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh,
My first child is entitled. It's not first and my last child. They think they entitled to the world. And I'm like, y'all don't, I try, like, I treat them all equal. But my mom, that first and that last child, I be trying to, I'm like, you dead ass with me? I'm like, I'm not playing with you. Like, she'll like, my oldest daughter birthday just passed. She's like, I don't care what nobody say. You're my first granddaughter. I'm going to do whatever I have to do with you. And then she'll go take her to the mall and just buy her whatever we want. And then my daughter's birthday comes a month later. Oh, what do you want? Here go $100. And I'm like, but you just spent $500 on the first child. Like, no, I said, I think you're gonna empty your bank account today too. And then she'd be like, what do you mean? I said, we got I counted her receipt, so we got $500 to spend. How did you know? I said, because she know better. I told her what did grandma spend. She was like, but grandma told me, I don't care what grandma said. You gonna live with me, so what grandma spend? She gave me them receipts. I said, so we gonna equally spend this for you. Got 3 other birthdays coming. I said, you better be cautious. And she knows, she learned her lessons. Like, she gonna hold me accountable to this, because you don't get to mistreat or make any of my kids feel different than the other. So I
yeah.
try to balance out as much as I can with people that's significant in their life. Like, we are equal. Or my kids are equal. I don't want none of them to feel different from the other. Like, grandma love her more than her, because even though she does, we can plainly see that. But I try my best not to have them feel that, the deflect in between it. Like, like, grandma's spending, she gonna spend time with you, even if I have to force her, even though I shouldn't have to. But I'm trying to get her balance, because she going through her own stuff too. So I'm parenting her. Like I said, I'm parenting her while I'm trying to heal myself and raise my kids too. So it's a lot with that lady, but try to balance. But yeah, my first and my last is entitled, because most of the people around them, I don't know, for some reason, it seems like you said the middle child kind of get the attention, but for some reason their attention always goes to those two for me. I don't know why. I just noticed, like, even though my middle childs, they're loud and like they want to be seen, but some reason the eyes always go to those two. I don't know why. I noticed that in my family. But move on to the next scenario. Okay. So this next scenario is, you're saying yes to everything. Lately, you've been saying yes to every request, whether from friends, families, or coworkers, because you don't want to disappoint anyone or cause conflict. Deep down, you know that you're over exerting yourself, but you feel afraid of the consequences of saying no. How do you find the strength to set boundaries when you are stuck in survival mode?
That is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting because I remember my season of saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me find out. I'm having a moment right
Yes.
now. I remember my season of saying yes, and I'm not gonna lie, like it was a moment where I was like, you know what? Let me explore being like other people and just being around them. And so there was a season where, like, because before I never hung out with my coworkers, like I would never hang out with them. I didn't know what they did outside of work. They didn't know nothing about me. But then I started hanging out with them. But it really was because I was like, let me just try to figure out, like, is what they, because I wasn't interested. Like, they wanted to go get happy hour and stuff. I wasn't interested in that stuff. But I was like, you know what? Let me just explore that. And honestly, if I'm being transparent, that was a season of me. Oh my goodness, that was a season of me. I don't want to say trying to fit in, but it was like trying to just figure out, but just for lack of better terms right now, I think I was trying to fit in, just to explore what does it feel like to do these things, even though I really don't want to. But you know what I was telling myself at
You
the
try to
time,
see. You was the FOMO. You try to see you
yeah,
was missing
because I
something.
was like, I'm not interested. But at the same time, I was like, let me just see what the hype is about. Because everybody going out, they hanging out after work, you know, they doing all this, but none of that sounds fun to me. So I was, you know, so that was for me. I mean, so I guess it could be two things. It could be like fear of not being like fear of wanting to fit in, but it could also be a moment of like, what if I do just lighten up? Because I was so serious
Mm-hmm.
and I was so like rigid and stuff. So it could just be a moment of you exploring a different version of yourself. It may not be so negative. Maybe we have a negative perception on it because, you know, looking back, I ain't gonna lie. Some of the stuff I could have with my life without
Yeah.
not experiencing. But I know that I know now that, okay, no, I don't want to live like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just be here doing things that just didn't resonate with me. But I experienced it. I know I don't like it for sure. But when you just say yes, you got to ask yourself, like, why do you feel compelled to say yes? I do experience a lot of women who are super supportive and they always putting themselves last. I
Mm-hmm.
do experience that a lot, but it's like, that's going back to where we really just get to tap in and we get to say, you know what if, and I'm going to be so serious. Like, y'all, there are even moments because I know I'm not my best friend yet. Like I love myself. You know, I am my friend. Like I take care of myself. I put myself, but I haven't gotten into, but I may be different than most people. I think I'm like 25% of the population. I'm on this journey, but I'm still super intentional about it. It's not because, oh, I just wake up and I just want to do the
Yeah.
self-care thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
there's
know. It's
some,
like that's where I'm at.
you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? There are some people where they just, you know, it's just in them to naturally give and pour into themselves and
Mm-hmm.
be self-obsessed. For me, because I know this is what I want. I want a better relationship with myself. I know I need to love myself more so I can be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intentional, but it still takes effort, like mental effort. Like, hey, girl, you get to go to the gym because it's good for your body, it's good for your energy.
Yeah.
Girl, you get to do this night routine because you get to have a moment to prepare for your sleep. Oh, by the way, it's also good for your goals. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not natural at it yet. Some days I have to force myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when we're on this journey of being yes, you get to ask yourself, are you doing it because you want to be liked, you want to be accepted, or are you doing it because it does give you fulfillment to help and support other people? Because what's the ulterior motive? Are you doing it as a way? I know that there's some people who always say yes because it's a way of control. Hey, if I'm doing all this stuff with and for people, they are always going to be indebted to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Say that, but it's a way of control,
Yeah.
right? You really get to figure out what's your why. Like I shared that moment with myself. It was for me. I still, even though it was like, girl, you was trying to fit in, but it was really me exploring something I never did before. I never really hung
Yeah.
out with people, and I was like, let me. So you get to figure out for yourself. Why are you doing this? What's your ulterior motive?
Yeah. I totally agree. My yes journey was. I know they dead ass wrong. Hold on one second. These people driving by my house with this fucking Mexican music on. They playing with me, right? Did you hear it?
I thought it was the ice cream truck though.
No. Well, I got the background remover. I'll take the sound out. For me, my yes was, I thought if I said yes to everybody and I helped everybody, that it's going to help me heal. I thought that the solution is to help other people get to where they wanted to go, then I can get to where I wanted to go. I thought that me helping and solving other people's problems was going to solve my problems, but it just helped me avoid my problems.
Yep. Yep.
It was a way of me avoiding what I needed to do. So if I'm hoping this person at me, I don't have to do what I have to do for myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's a way for us to avoid the
Yep.
actual work that we're doing. So are you avoiding what you need to be doing for yourself? So you just find yourself in places where I'm just so exhausted. I'm so tired. I did this and this and this and that. And then you look like such a great person on the outside, but you're dying on the inside.
Yep. Still seeking that outside
Like,
validation
the
versus,
external.
yep.
And for
Versus,
me, for that to do, I had to talk, like you said, I had to sit with myself to talk to myself. What am I avoiding? Why am I avoiding this? And if I do this, is this taking me further away from who I want to be, or is it bringing me closer? So when I say yes to something, it has to be aligned with if it's making me a better person, or is it something that I really want to do? It's some things that I don't want to do, I say yes to because I'm a mother. So at the same time, there's some things that you're going to say yes to when you have other obligations outside of yourself, when you committed, like being a mother. It's things that we definitely don't want to do, that we have to do because those are things that make our little ones a little better. You know what I'm saying? So you have to say yes to certain things that's going to make us uncomfortable, that may not align with who we want to be or we don't want to do, especially when it comes to parenting. Like, my kids be wanting to do stuff that I really don't want them to do, but I know if I say no, it's going to hinder them and it's going to make them resent me in ways that is going to cause more damage than good. So I just say yes, even though in my heart and my being, I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? So just knowing that you have to say yes to certain things that's obligated to you because you did take on responsibilities in this world. So that's like the biggest thing I did for me to help me with my yes season, when to help me get out of that and choose what to say yes and what to say no to. Yeah. The next question, I'm gonna do one more because, girl, we've been here for 6 hours.
this conversation is so good.
Yeah, that usually one time I had a podcast that went for like almost like 3 hours. I had to knock it down to two. I tried my best to knock it down to 2 hours. I'm like, I'm about to sit here for 3 hours. I almost ran out of space on my laptop and everything.
Maybe, girl, the watch time, honey. These streamers and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there all day. These kids and stuff, watch hours be crazy.
Yeah, they do. I'm gonna do this one. I think this is a good one. You're struggling to trust others. You've been through a situation where trusting others have led to betrayal or hurt. Now, even in healthy relationship, you find it hard to trust anyone fully. You keep people at a distance because it feels safer. How do you begin to rebuild trust in others whilst also protecting yourself?
So I think, girl, this is a ever. You might ask me this more. I'll give you a different. I think the most important thing that we get to do is build such a strong identity within ourselves that we get to process it, but it doesn't change who we are or change like who we desire to be, like the best version of ourselves. Because there are relationships that are important to me, and I know that I'm going to still be in relationship with you, but I still get to protect myself. And there's just certain things that I can experience with you, but there's certain things that I'm not willing to experience with you because I still get to protect myself. Like, I don't want to be, and this is just where I am today. I don't want to be in relationships with people, and I'm still working on healing the past trauma. So I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who's bringing me new trauma that I need to be healing from.
Mm-hmm.
So if the relationship is important enough, definitely stay in relationships, because there's like people in our family where we get to be in relationship with them, but just know that you get to buffer the time that you're spending with them. Just know that there's only certain conversations that you get to have with them. Don't My advice would be, don't be being in a relationship with people who you know are going to hurt you where you got to do a whole process of healing that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even, and maybe I still got trust issues, girl. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But
You do.
I just
You do.
know what works for me is not being in relationship with people who I gotta heal from today. Like, bruh, like I'm pretty open and I want people to be themselves, but I also know that I am my number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I will go and say it a little further. Like, what I do is trust people to be themselves. So I release the expectations of who I want that person to be.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And believe them when they say and show me who they are. When someone show me who they are, I believe and I trust that they will show up in the way that they already showed me they are going to do. So I do not put any added expectations on that person. And then I have to go into trust myself that if this person show up in a way that I no longer feel is aligned with who I am, I have the ability to walk away.
Yeah.
So when we're struggling with trusting people and stuff, you have to build that self-trust and
Yeah.
release expectations of people and seeing people the way that you wanted to see them and show and believe them for who they are and believe what they show you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And that's what I'm saying. When you have such a strong identity within yourself,
Yeah.
when people say and do things, it's not going to, you're not going to fall through the cracks and you're not going to revert to survival mode because you're like, oh, I'm back in my foundation. I'm back in my foundation. I see you, boo. We gonna be cordial, but I'm staying right here. This is my foundation. Because at the end of the day, we are naturally made to protect ourselves. And as long as you are doing things with love, and it's like I don't have to be all open and vulnerable where you can hurt me and beat me up. I'm not gonna allow you to do that, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. That ain't happening because
It ain't happening.
it's already hard enough fixing what I already gotta fix. I'm not about to let you give me extra work, the things that I gotta work. And a lot of times when people are doing things to us, it's just their experience. So we also get to be mindful, like, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Dang.
Damn.
I get to learn the lesson of why I experienced that with this person, but I'm not gonna take that personal because that was really for them. I just got to experience it with them.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Well, we're going to end the episode right here. And I would like for you to give the listeners some advice that you would love for them to hear that's going to pull all this together.
Listen to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This was an incredible episode.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Rose. I really enjoyed this conversation. And my advice from my journey from where I am today. You may be further along, whether it's different aspect of your life, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, and that's not really a word, but in relationships and connections, you may be at different points. We're all a complexity of these things. And so you really just get to be within yourself, listen to yourself, trust yourself, honor yourself where you are, because the more that we go deeper and the more that we expand into this love journey, the more that you figure out, like, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
This is for me. This is me. Like this, because we all have different contributions to the world. We all have different purposes. So whatever that is within and for yourself, just honor and trust that, and just really connect with the source, but then also trust that divinity within you, and honor it. And just also know, have enough compassion for yourself and enough empathy that says, well, today I don't know. But the more that you stay in it, the more it opens up and the more you become competent into self-love.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And remember, you have the answers. The answers is always within you. You always have your own answers. Don't look external for the answers that's already within. Just look inside yourself to try to find answers that when you're always looking externally, you're like, I can't find the answer. I can't find the answer because it's inside of you. Have you ever been in a place where you can't find the answers nowhere because you haven't looked in the right place, and that's inside of you?
Mm.
All right. Can you please tell the listeners your social media and your website and about the one page again so they can have a little bit more information, a website and everything?
Yes. On most platforms, you can type in Xaye Faith. It's spelled Xaye Faith, Faith. I think it's Instagram is Life with Xaye, but I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, TikTok, all those platforms. My company, Total Freedom Network, Total Freedom Network is everywhere as well. And as far as the one pager, it's the Prioritize and Thrive worksheet. And this is really gonna support you in creating a structure. It is like an introduction to what we do and how we help our clients, but it is going to support you into creating structure in your life, but then also supporting you into creating clarity on the things that you need to do. And it supports you into actually getting the things that you need to get done complete. And so that will be at www.totalfreedomnetwork.com/prioritize and thrive worksheet. Prioritize and thrive worksheet. So yeah, but I think I gave you all the links, but
Yeah, it will be
definitely
in the show
if you,
notes.
yeah, if you reach out to me, Xaye Faith or at Life with Xaye, I will make sure you get that worksheet, and it's free. You put your email in, put your name in, and it'll come straight to your email, and then you will be able to work it out. And then if you want more support, yeah, just send us a DM, Total Freedom Network everywhere, or Xaye Faith at Life with Xaye.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this episode. And I really hope everybody got something from here, and I hope something resonate with somebody that really helped them on their journey today. Before we finish up today, I want to say if you've been feeling like you're stuck in survival mode, just trying to make it through each day, know that you're not alone. It's not easy, but recognizing and becoming aware of that feeling is a powerful first step towards healing. I hope today's episode has given you a bit of hope and a sense of direction. Next time, we're going to continue this important conversation with Pauline Jones, a certified life and holistic coach who has an incredible story to share. Pauline has faced so many she has faced so many life's toughest challenges, including shit. No take. Outro 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before we finish up today, I want to say if you've been feeling like you're stuck in survival mode, just trying to make it through each day, know that you're not alone. It's not easy, but recognizing and becoming aware of this feeling is a powerful first step forward. I hope today's episode has given you a bit of hope and a sense of direction. Next week, we're going to continue this important conversation with Pauline, a certified life and holistic coach who has an incredible story to share. Pauline has faced so many of life's toughest challenges, including surviving abuse and the loss of her oldest son. She is going to open up about how she was trapped in survival mode, the struggles she went through, and the steps she's taken to overcome them. She is sharing her advice that can help you start your own journey out of survival mode. If you're ready to start healing and want to hear how Pauline has faced her challenges head on and make sure you don't miss this episode. I promise that it's going to be inspiring and full of tips that you can use in your own life. Before we finish up today, I want to say if you've been feeling like you're stuck in survival mode, just trying to make it through each day, know that you're not alone. It's not easy, but recognizing and becoming aware of the feelings is a powerful first step towards healing. I hope today's episode has given you a bit of hope and a sense of direction. But next week, we're going to continue this important conversation with our friend Pauline, a certified life and holistic coach who has a credible story to share. Pauline has faced some of the life's toughest challenges, okay, including surviving abuse and the loss of her oldest son. She's going to open up about how she was trapped in survival mode, the struggles that she went through, and the steps that she is taking to overcome them. She'll be sharing advice that can help you start your own journey out of survival mode. If you're ready to start healing and want to hear how Pauline has faced her challenges head on, make sure you don't miss this episode. I promise it's going to be inspiring and full of tips that you can use in your own life. And don't forget that we have our Facebook group, Sister Let's Heal Together, where we keep the conversation going is a safe place to share your story and find support and connect with others who are on their own healing journey. You can find the link in our show notes, and I so hope you'll join us there. Thank you so much for being here today. And if you're finding this podcast helpful, please subscribe and leave a review and share it with anyone who could benefit from it. Every bit of support helps us reach our women. Every support helps us reach more women who needs the space for love and healing. Take care of yourself and remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. I'll see you next episode next week. Bye. Signing out, your sister Do Love.